order the October 7th meeting of the Norton Finance Committee. Present in person, we have Brandon, Gavin, Paul, Zach, Paula, and myself. And remotely, we have Trace and Bill. So we'll get started with the articles. I think repurpose article funds is
Okay.
first.
And so, the article to repurpose funds, let me get through it. I know Mr. Slattery is here from the building committee, and this is Article 10. Or is it 11?
11.
Article 11. From the chart, you can see since 2016, various appropriations have been made for the senior center or the town hall. The first one at the town meeting in May 2016, there was money appropriated for a senior center parking lot. And there's $34,800 in that account. At the October town meeting in 2019, under Article 2 of the special town meeting in October that year, there was $140,000 appropriated, and it was appropriated $70,000 for a town hall senior center site evaluation and $70,000 for a town hall senior center conceptual layout. And of that, on the town hall portion is $8,975.21 remaining. And on the senior center portion, $70,000 remaining. The annual town meeting in May of 2018, there was money appropriated for a town hall feasibility study, and there's $1,733.16 remaining in that. And at the town meeting in May of 2018, Article 6, there was money appropriated for a senior center feasibility study, and there's $727.17 available. So a total of $116,235.54. And the motion would be to move this money into the building projects. So it could be used as, if necessary, as part of the demo of the town hall. Before Jim comes up, want me to go over the other article?
Would be demolition.
Yeah. Article 12. So when the projects were approved at town meeting, the amounts were broken out into three. And what this article would do is to appropriate, so $40,762,000 was appropriated total for the three projects. And it was split out, so much for the field project, so much for the senior center, and so much for the town hall. And what this article would do is say that any of the remaining funds can be used on the projects. Right now, the field project, there's $74,063.05 remaining. And I think you got some information tonight from Mr. Slattery. The town hall right now remaining is $823,960. And for the senior center is $739,600.40. Jim can come up and talk about the demo project.
Okay, when the building committee started these three projects, we asked the town for the $40 million for the three projects. At the time, we were in the middle of COVID, and we realized the cost of construction was just multiplying crazily. So I think we put a lot of high numbers in, and the ending numbers sort of proved that. So what we did during the process of building is to make the buildings, the projects fit in, we cut certain things out of the projected projects. Out of the senior center, we cut out some parking spaces, we cut out the commercial kitchen, we cut out the back patio, and I believe, and some other smaller stuff to save money on the senior center. On the town hall was originally supposed to be brick. We cut that to have cement, clapboards. We also cut, something else, I don't know, but, we were gonna pave the library parking lot. But to save money, we cut, and the reason I'm here, the demolition of the whole old town hall. We were very perplexed about that because that's half the reason we sold the projects to the town, was we said we'd demolish the building, and the building department and everybody else had a million pictures showing how decrepit the building was. So we just moved along. With the change in the complexion of the building committee, we got a couple of, and I was one of those people who wanted the building down, but after doing some survey work with the engineers and the architects, I realized the cost was way too much for the town to endure, and I was told that the building was still structurally sound, but still couldn't get an occupancy permit like it had had since day one. So, 2 months ago, the committee decided that, in a vote, that they wanted to demolish the whole town hall. Part of the present project, even if none of this gets passed, will demolish the food pantry, which is the garages for the police station, and I believe a little section of the handicap ramp, and make the cellar almost inaccessible from the outside on that floor. So there still will be some demolition, even if this proposal doesn't go through. But 2 months ago, the building committee, in a vote, decided that they, after discussing it, we realized that, and I'm gonna use my own terms, and if they offend you, I'm sorry, but that's the way I am, and if you don't like it, I'll take my tie off. To me, there's different pots of gold in the town that are sitting around. Mike, for the first article, read off 6 little pots of gold that range from $70,000 to $727 of projects that did not exceed, though they were under budget. So technically, there's $116,000 sitting somewhere in the bank that has already been paid for by the taxpayers. So there's that amount of money, and then if you take the one that's divided into 3 boxes, for those of you who have it, this is our estimate as of today of what's gonna be left over, because some of our, first of all, the bids came in, the bid for the town hall came in almost $1 million under what we projected and what we bonded. And the senior center came in under $800,000, the bid for that. So there's $1.8 million that is bonded somewhere that supposedly won't get spent. And then we had a donation of $1.6 million from the Nelson family. And if we renamed the senior center for the Nelsons, they made the donation. We did that. We used their money to decrease the cost of construction. I'm not trying to baffle you with numbers, but you deal in numbers a lot more than I do. And I was scratching my head today about how I was gonna put this across. But there's another $1.6 million out there somewhere that's decreased the cost of the projects. then you look at the remaining, what we have of what we bonded, there's $823,000 from the senior center, there's $739,000 and change from the, wait a minute, I'm sorry, it's 823 from the town hall, 739 from the senior center, and $74,000 from the athletic field project. Now, this is all money that we project to be left over, so what we were asking to do is take all these leftover funds, like the list of the 6 projects that you had in the first page, take what we have from the 3 projects, put it all together, and the last, okay, let's see.
Jim, can I interrupt you for 1 second? On your boxes, the page of the 3 sets of boxes, you got an LG.
I have no
summary.
idea what the TBD means.
No, what's the
I did not
LG,
make
what is
this
the
up.
LG summary? That's almost 438,000. The third box?
LG, some,
Penalties for delays,
Third
you know
box.
what it is? Oh, we definitely getting those?
Well, you never know.
Okay.
Obviously, they're gonna try, but whether we get them or not.
oh, that's the penalty to the contractors, which we've, 2 or 3 of my committee members are bothering me like that it's a penalty for not coming in on time. Neither project came in on time. I've told people that's up to the lawyers. Very few construction companies pay penalties. They fight it out with the people they made the contract with, and there's some agreement made. That's not, that's why I went over it and didn't mention it, but that's technically what the penalty should be. But the common practice is, it isn't paid. It's written in a contract. It's like, I'm gonna mention something that Mr. Wilson will not like, but they've been waiting for an ambulance for 3 years, and I'm sure there's a penalty in there, and that builder will not pay anything, but, that's what that summary is.
Thank you.
So back to what I was talking about, if you take this, not that one. You take this long graph, it looks like this one. And already there's been a few changes. Reading this, I got a little upset because we asked Seaver, the contractor for the, O'Connor, the contractor for the town hall, what it would cost to do the whole building if we made it a change order from the partial demolition to a full demolition, which can be done to just change it to a change order, if we have the money. So they told us originally $1.3 million to do the change order. Going to our I call him clerk of the works, but he's the construction manager. He added these other 15 items, which half of them are already included, and we're getting way in the weeds on this, but it ends up that the final figure now, which was 1.3, is now 2.2, and on a personal note, I'm afraid that's gonna go higher, but that's not for me to decide. I'm just here to ask to combine all the leftover money, and on the last page, on this one, that has the big numbers, you'll see that some of the leftover funds that we had from the 3 projects were part of this contingency. Normally contingencies are 10%, but because of the COVID and the increase in construction costs, we made it 15% for the 3 projects. And for whatever reason, the architect decided to make it 20% for the demolition project, because some of you may not know this, but when we went to build the new town hall, we found 6 septic systems over here that no one, absolutely no one knew about until the bulldozer hit it. So I don't know what surprises may be in the old police station. We have asbestos, we have gunpowder from the firing range, we have old age dampness and whatever else is in there. I'm really upset at some of the projects we've done. We have communication lines that run from the fire station to the new police station. So I'm assuming some of them went through the old police station, and nobody's talked about that. And personally, I don't know why they have those intermittent lines, and I don't care, because everything's getting dispatched out of Foxborough, but again, I have too much knowledge. But if you take these numbers on this sheet that I asked you to look at, you'll see that, what we've budgeted and the bid savings, and then we have the demo prices, which uses the 1.3 number, not the 2.2 number. But again, that's throwing a lot of figures at you. The real reason I'm here is we want the article to take all these little pots of gold that are left over that the taxpayers have paid for to demolish the old town hall. And in theory, and hopefully in practice, although I put my reputation on the 3 projects that we come in on the budget and it's happening, I'm not gonna put my reputation on the demolition. But hopefully there's enough money, if you take the contingency, even if we go over budget, we have the contingency in there. And all we are asking you is just doing a legal switching of money so we can legally spend the money that the taxpayers have already been taxed on for the project to completion. And if you have any questions, good luck.
Anyone have questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
do we or do we not have a contract to tear that down?
We do not have a contract to tear it down.
So it's still a moving target on the number?
I guess so. We do have a contract to tear down the food pantry.
Yeah, that was part of the original.
Okay, that's part of the original.
So when will you have a final number or a contract to tear
Well,
this?
I think we hold them to the final number on the 21st of October. Because what we did tell them to do was, while they were to hold them here on site, we told them to start the paperwork that can be done within our budget that we were gonna be under anyway, to start looking at how to demolish the whole building. So they're progressing as if they have a contract, up to when the big ball comes. If they think they can get the big ball in here before the 21st of October, after being 4 months late with getting this building done, I doubt it's gonna happen. But they are under the understanding that they are operating now on what's contingent from the town hall original project, just to do the paperwork and studies to get in there. And if the town says no on this particular proposal, and if you people say no, although, I'll keep my motion on that.
We only make recommendations.
Well, a lot of the people honor your recommendations. A lot of people don't, but a lot of people do. I happen to be one who does, but, that's where we sit, and they did that with the understanding that the 21st is the date we can tell them we're going ahead with it or stop. And they'll just do the food pantry section.
So do you think you'll have a final number at town meeting if the residents ask what the number is?
Well, I think the number I'm gonna have, because I did not wanna do this whole circus. Because I said, I've been to too many town meetings, and somebody is gonna go up there and ask me more numbers than are on all these papers. And I'm not gonna be able to answer it. I don't think the architect can, or anybody else. So what I'm saying the final number is the number that I received today, which would be $2,208,352.50 for my papers.
which has a substantial contingency in it. Madam Chair, a question for Mike. Mike, Jim mentioned a $1.6 million donation that was received for the Nelson Center. My understanding, and I'm not sure if it was just something I overheard, but that 1.6 was deducted from the bond cost. That was the intention.
Yeah, the $1,551,432. The intent of that is to reduce the borrowing.
So that technically wouldn't be available for this project then.
Not in my opinion.
You had to put it out there because you threw the number out there, Jim. So-
Well, it may not, to me it is, because it decreases the amount that we have to use of the bond. You may not be able to use it for this, but indirectly it's being used because it decreased the cost of the bond.
Madam Chair? So when this is all said and done, and these numbers is fixing the sidewall, putting brick back up, paving the parking lot, all that, so it's
Correct.
completely finished?
Yes, there'll be a facade put on what's left of the new old town hall, so the fire department can use it for whatever, they wanna use that part of the building for dorms and, offices. And that was, the idea of the project was to put up a facade on the building. Cause the only facade that's there is from the old town hall, or the old gymnasium, I'm sorry. The windows are all from the old gym and everything else, so. We'd have to put, part of the project is putting up the facade, yes.
Can I ask what happens if Article 11 passes but 12 does not?
Yeah, well, if 11 passed and then moved the money into the project and then it doesn't move forward, then that money would just end up being declared free cash.
Free cash, even though it's a debt exclusion, or is that not debt exclusion?
No, right, that wasn't.
Is that the same, Steve, is that the same thing that happens if we don't do this? Because these,
Right,
okay.
yeah.
If it doesn't pass, that money sits where it's been sitting.
It's just
for
sitting in a
years,
different place, being.
Since whatever dates on the first town meeting thing, plus you'll get the refund from the town hall, the refund, the 75,000 up 74, whatever, from, those will all sit in little pots of gold forever because nobody's gonna spend it. But to me, the taxpayers have paid for that. So why not use, why is it sitting there not being used? Just because we're smart enough to realize that there's leftover money sitting all over the place. No, now we've opened up Pandora's box. So I don't think the second, if the first motion passes, I don't see why the second article wouldn't pass. Because that's the purpose of the first article. They're sort of contingent on each other.
I was just wondering if people would be concerned about the price changing and be willing to move the money, and then if.
Well, they don't have to know the price change. They'll know now, but the only figure I'm gonna bring up will be the 2.2.
Madam Chair. So no more of these monies here that are remaining in the budget for each of the projects are gonna be spent? Like, we've spent it all, this is definitely what's remaining?
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Steve.
that same point, is James or anyone certified that these amounts are definitely still available?
I know James certified the field project money as far as the town hall and senior center. He hasn't finalized that, no.
I guess my question, can we vote on this tonight if those numbers aren't solid?
Well, Steve, I'm not sure, I'll have to check with the OPM because James wouldn't be able to certify only, what bills have come in. And the OPM may be looking at bills that he anticipates will be coming in and deducting those. So I'll talk with the OPM tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Mike, for the purposes of Article 11, this list of figures has been, it's the senior center town hall final.
Right,
No,
Article
so
11, those
it's good to
numbers are
go.
from James. Yep.
The only questionable numbers might be the town hall and the senior center.
Cause there could possibly still be bills coming in that are.
I'm not gonna lie to you, probably yes. But there's no change orders, there should not be any large bills, there's no change orders or anything else. The buildings, both buildings are owned by the town now. The only thing the contractors are doing is punch list things. And as we find other problems in the building, which are user problems, the town maintenance people are taking care of that and not the contractor.
Just on that, I think what the OPM more has done is he's looked at the entire project and anticipating no more change orders, and based on the contracted amount, without any more change orders, that's the amount that would be left. But I'll confirm that.
Okay.
Anyone have any other questions?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the town appropriate the authorized but unexpended balances of the following town meeting articles, which projects are now complete and for which no further financial liability remains, to pay costs associated with the senior and community support center and the town hall projects as approved under vote of the town passed at the May 8th, 2021 special town meeting, Article 1, as listed in the warrant.
Second.
Want me to write, do I need to read the
Oh, yeah, we
figures?
should read it.
This is Article 11, correct?
Article 11, yes. First one is the ATM from annual town meeting, May 2016, senior center parking lot, $34,800. The special town meeting of October 2019, the town hall senior center site evaluation, $8975.21. Third is October special town meeting of 2019, town hall senior center conceptual layout, balance of $70,000. Annual town meeting for May of 2018, town hall feasibility study, $1,733.16. And the last one is the annual town meeting for May of 2018, senior center feasibility study, $727.17 for a total of $116,235.54.
Second.
Motion is second, any further discussion?
Yeah, just one, Madam Chair, just, again, these numbers are solid, and that's what I thought we were looking at earlier, that's all, my only question.
Well, the numbers that you just read are solid, yes, yep, yep,
Okay,
yep, those are solid.
and that's Article 10,
That's 11,
11,
yeah.
because I'm looking at what Mike somebody sent over the weekend, it says Article 10.
Article
Our new
11,
packets is
repurpose.
Yeah, it says Article 11 in this packet. Maybe it didn't change.
All right, well, those numbers were exactly what's on this list, so I'll go
Yeah,
with
cause
that.
that Hill Street was struck, so.
Oh, okay, yeah, we
Change the
had,
numbers.
the numbers reordered a little bit, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, ready to vote? All right, Brendan?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Lonnie, sorry.
Yes.
I was like, we met my room here. Trace?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Yep. Okay, so do we wanna vote on 12 then?
Do we need the numbers for 12, Mike, or is it a?
Combine all the numbers, whatever's left over.
Okay, so. Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that the town will vote to authorize the expenditure of the remaining balance of the collective amounts of the $40,762,000 approved under a vote the town passed at the May 8th, 2021 special town meeting. Article 1 for the Town Hall, Town Senior and Community Sports Center. And as written and presented, I don't have to read that whole thing, do I? Paula? Do we have to read the whole thing?
No.
Article 12 as presented.
As presented, yeah. Thank you.
Well, that's our official law.
Yeah, yeah. I know that you're right about the figures, I know the figures, I know the figures, I know the
You
figures.
know you have to do that at town meeting.
Yeah.
You have to read.
Town meeting
Or someone
That's
does.
me.
Yeah.
You can say as
You can say it's presented up on the screen, I think as long as it's all there and
The
complete.
attorney usually, gives you what to say, but sometimes it'll say.
Yeah.
All right, I have a motion, do I have a second? Brandon?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Or Paul, sorry.
Yes.
Zach?
Hey,
Paul.
hey, Paul.
Paula? Yes. Bonnie?
Yes.
Trace? Is Trace still there?
Yes,
Yes?
yes.
Bill?
Madam Chair, I had a question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't ask for questions. Go ahead.
How does the gift to the seniors, I guess it was the senior center, factor into this? Are we supposed to be deducting that gift? Or is that gift then null and void?
That gift is just to reduce our final borrowing. So before we go up, that'd be deducted off, so whatever the final number is below obviously below the 40, whatever,
So
One
so
point.
shouldn't it be the 40 million minus the
Right.
gift is what we're voting?
that's the way it'll end up, Bill.
But that's not what we're saying here.
So this,
There's the difference.
this 40 million will be $1.6 million.
Right.
Well, whatever, you get that number exactly though, Mike, if you wanna move it properly?
Madam Chair,
38-4.
What is it?
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I think that, in order to do this correctly, you have to use the $40 million number, because that was the number the taxpayers voted on for bonding. And we're going with what's ever left over from the bond. So you have to use that number as the base number, because that's what was bonded. So whatever's left over from the bond of $40,762 and whatever is the base amount, regardless of how donations we get. I mean, there was a $50,000 donation from from Bristol County, somebody, for a generator. All that goes into the cost of the construction, but isn't taken out of the bond to pay for the generator. The generator was paid for. The 1.6 or whatever it is, blah, 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 numbers went in to deduct from the cost. So we're not gonna take out that 1.6 from the bond to have to pay that amount to the bond. So the amount the taxpayers voted for at the town meeting was to bond $40 million. And that's what we're gonna have left over, is that number. And that's something, I'm not an accountant and I don't claim to be one. And that's somewhere along the line, and, we found out the numbers on the other six projects. We found out the number on the school athletic thing. The senior center and the town hall are in process, but there's enough money there to do the demolition, the building committee feels, and that's the building committee's recommendation. But as far as the gentleman's question is, we're using excess money that the taxpayers have to pay in the bond to pay for the demolition. Because the money isn't getting used. there's probably $4 million, no, I probably shouldn't give you a figure, but somebody will quote me on Facebook or something, but if you realize that you got 1.6, I mean, it's simple math. It's like if you got a car payment and your mother and father came in and gave you $1,000, you don't have to pay that $1,000 if you budgeted for it in your home expenses, because they paid $1,000 on your car payment. But you took out the $60,000 car payment, and somebody else is paying one of those payments. Similar to the 1.6, somebody else paid that payment. I don't know what the monthly payments are on the bond, and again, that gets too deep into it, but I'm sure James, the accountant, will have final numbers. I don't know if he'll have them for the town meeting, but I'm confident, and the building committee is confident, that there will be enough money left without any expense to the town to pay for full demolition. And I think we've done our homework. We've found 8 different accounts with money on it. You have to take us at our word that we believe that it's there. And, you know, that's the only way I'll stop talking.
Mike, do you have a response to which number we should use?
Well, the town accountant agrees with me that we're authorized to borrow $40,762,000, which the donation is to reduce the borrowing, so the amount we can borrow is $39,210,568.
So to Bill's point, I should amend my initial, this article should be amended to the other mic or not?
Well, you're authorizing to use any of the proceeds that are left over. I don't know whether you'd say up to a maximum of $39,210,568.
Madam
So
Chair,
the way it's worded
I-
now, Bill's right, we can actually spend that extra $1.5 million that if it gets authorized as it's written.
Madam Chair. So the way this is written, the way I'm reading it, and I have a similar question, but it says Article 1 of the May 8th, 2021 town meeting, this is what was authorized to be borrowed. That's true.
Right.
And so if that's what the number that we're quoting, then this number is accurate.
Right.
If we add language that says something about the 1.6, then that's different. But the way it stands now, that would just be missing. This is still true, that we were authorized to borrow this on that date by the town.
Right, and we're authorizing any remaining funds, and the remaining funds are reduced by the 1.5 million, so, and that's about that.
That would need to be, that's the language that would be added.
Right.
Zach, do you have a question?
That was a heavy sentence.
The bottom line is, the town approved $40,762,000. The donor said, we're gonna give you $1.5 million and some change to reduce the cost of those buildings. However, that's what they said. Legally, you have authorization to spend $40,762,000, because that's what the town voted for on a ballot. And so the question is, yes, we are saying we're not gonna spend $1.5 million, but where is it in writing? You know, if this is just a goodwill thing, that we're not gonna, and we haven't bonded all the money yet, Mike, I assume?
No.
So, when people come up at town meeting and say, okay, well, where is it? Or there should be a separate article to say, we wanna reduce this number by $1,500,000 based on the gift that the Nelson family provided. I don't know, I think that's for the lawyers, but it looks a little convoluted to me, but. And I don't know what the legality, because I'm not a lawyer, but.
Right, is it in writing? The question is-
Mr. Chairman of the
Is
building,
it-
I'm a messenger.
So
Well,
I don't
I
know.
also know that we had an article that did say, correct me if I'm wrong, that any donations could be used to, reduce. reduce the cost. Well, not reduce the borrowing, I think it was to reduce the cost. To go into the project, sorry, I'm saying it backwards. But isn't that what the article said that we voted on? So we could use donations for the project itself? I thought we changed that at the town meeting to make that.
I don't know if it was an excess of or to reduce.
I remember we wrote
That
that, it was
donation
kind
could
of went
be
back and
used
forth.
for
And
the
and then
project.
we later, I think, said, but we don't want the 1.6 million to count towards that, or at least the permanent building committee said that. So that's kind of been,
That did come up somewhere,
The donors.
So I would think that if the project ended up going way over budget, we wouldn't have this conversation, because we'd be using that 1.6 on top of the 40,762 to finish the job.
Correct.
So, you know.
Madam Chair,
yes.
I believe, and correct me, maybe Jim knows, is the Friends of the Senior Center, when you guys cut out the kitchen, they wanted to raise money, if I remember correctly, for private funds to put in that kitchen. And that,
And I think that.
and I don't know if that actually was a town.
Let me,
I don't remember.
I'll answer that question because it's a sore spot with me,
Okay,
because you didn't mention the bricks either.
I don't remember, I don't know all the whole story.
The Friends of the Senior Center, when we cut out the patio and back, and we cut out the commercial kitchen, said that they would pay for it. At the time, the building committee said, we've got a lot of excess money, we'll pay for it. So it went back to us. Even though we cut it originally, which we had the power to do, we came back and we ended up paying for the bricks that they were gonna use for a fundraiser, and we paid for the commercial kitchen. We, I mean, the building committee and the town taxpayers, out of the $40,762,050.
So, sorry, so those items got put back into the project, but they're
Yes.
still under budget
Yes,
at 739, okay.
yes, we are still under budget. And we wanna spend the money so that we're spending $2,024, that's not a dollar amount, that's a year, instead of $2,044 to demolish the old town hall. We have the money, we've proven to you by solid numbers, 6 or 7 items out of 10, that it can be done. Let us do it.
No, I don't think, Madam Chair, through you, I don't think anybody's challenging that, we want you to do it. It's a matter of what is the legal, and it's, I think it's beyond anybody here.
Well,
I think it's up to.
Doesn't have answers to these
the town's
questions
legal counsel.
before we present it
Well,
to
the
the
legal
town.
thing is, we make it a change order in the contract to change the food pantry demolition to the town hall demolition. So it's covered under the bond. So that's where some of the money comes from, and the rest of the money is used, and we're asking the taxpayers that those 7 items of whatever the amount is, plus whatever's left over from the 3 projects, like the $74,000 from it, use that money also to pay for the demolition. So all we're doing is shifting bank accounts. We're not costing the taxpayer, I hate to say this, $1, okay? We'll cost them a lot in paperwork, but, you know, the money's there, we've proven the money's there. We're hopeful the money will be there from the town hall and the senior center project.
Yeah, Jim, I think we all, I mean, we almost all voted yes. I think we're just questioning the language of the article, if it should say 40,000 or 39. Do we wanna wait and see what town council?
Well, I think what people have said here, that is the right terminology in the article. In the motion, would take care of what the amount,
Yeah.
what the amount is.
Okay. So,
So I'll add into the motion not to exceed the 39,210,568 million
Of bonding.
of bonding cap of that. You want that in here then?
does that work, Bill? So it's your question originally, right?
It's more confusing when we started.
Originally, and let me just throw it out there. I've been the one screaming to tear down the old town hall, so I don't wanna interfere with that. But I wanna make sure we have the right number.
Right, right. Yeah,
Well, the number is the number, that's the number that was passed at the town meeting. You can't change that number.
Madam Chair,
yes.
may I suggest that we just vote on this if you want, and you get a legal opinion, and we can reconsider it on Thursday if need be.
Does that work, Bill?
So which number are we doing?
Pick one, Bill, you decide.
The original was the 40 million.
We're sticking with the 40 million.
And if we find out that's
considering-
wrong, we can come back and reconsider.
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain then on this vote.
Okay. All right, and then I think Steve?
Yeah, I'll be in abstention as well.
Okay. All right, so that's 8 yes and 2 abstentions. All right.
Can you get back this on Thursday night? That give you enough time to... I think you're good, Jim. Get your sledgehammer.
This is a warm-up for the town meeting.
That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. All right.
I've still got a couple of aces in my hole though, so.
All right,
Back
appreciate all the
pocket, I
work.
guess I'm supposed to say.
I appreciate all the work that you guys do on the current building committee. All right, what do we have next?
Pardon me,
Yes,
point of order, did you take a vote?
Yeah, it's all set.
yes.
Okay.
You were in the
Well,
middle of the vote.
we stopped with the
We
question.
did, but then I
Yes.
think you
After you closed the question period
Yes.
and went to voting, you took a question,
Yeah,
and we got bogged down in the
yeah,
weeds.
yeah, but we got it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, it passed, 8.
That's why Sandy's in charge.
2 abstentions.
Keeps track.
Article, Elm Street article, is that still 13?
Yeah.
French rules.
Yes.
So, the select board did vote on this article, our select board members is here. I think the gist was to move it on to town meeting and let the voters decide. And I think you've had the presentation. You have John Harrop here if you have questions, and
You have about 20.
we do have Ryan Henley and Anna Wojcik from Weston Sampson on too, if there's any questions.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
What did the select, I did try to watch most of the meeting on Zoom, but the audio was a little weak. So what did the select board vote on? Which plan? To tie the whole street on, or just to tie the one building on?
As written.
So the whole street?
Was there, sorry, Madam Chair, was there a discussion about what we talked about the other day, Plan B, like
There
just
was.
under 47 Elm Street?
Yeah, I was a little confused because it seemed like some were leaning towards the Plan B, but I don't know, I'm not sure why. I don't think I ever heard why they went with the first plan. I don't know. Do you have any, Melissa, do you have anything to add of why we went with Plan A versus Plan B?
Good evening. When we voted the other night, I made a motion that we move the question to town meeting as it stood, so that the whole town could vote on it as it stood. I understand that it was gonna go to town meeting regardless of what our vote was. In the meantime, I did some more research and dug into it a little deeper, and I have a few questions myself. Some of the questions that I have is that it was never brought up to us at any of our meetings how much money the town has already invested in that property and in the demolition of the portion that it was taken down. And who owns the property, and who are the 175 EDUs going to be assessed to while we wait for the development of that property, and who's going to pay that fee? Those are a couple of questions I have. I don't know if anybody has any answers to that.
The demo, we've spent around 500,000 on demo. The portion that was closest to Cross Street, that we're afraid was gonna fall into the street. What was your next question?
Who owns the property and who are the 175 EDUs that are assessed to that piece of property? Who's gonna pay that fee while we wait for it to be developed?
Nobody owns the property. It was declared, they just abandoned it when they left, so technically nobody owns it. If whoever's gonna buy it has to get it from the bankruptcy court. As far as the EDUs, obviously the hope is that once the sewer project starts, then the construction will start at the same time virtually. But if the sewer goes in and construction hasn't started, the taxpayers will be responsible for paying the note and putting a lien on the property as we pay that note each year.
So I think to also, because we had asked that question at our meeting, so it would be about 1.7 million, if I remember correctly. That's the lien on the property, which if it never gets developed is on us. So I know we all have that concern. I think that's why, personally, I was leaning towards, supporting the Plan B, just because it seems like the reduction in costs is between 2 and 2.5 million. It would be less, which seems to me then would cover the grant would cover the majority of that cost, and there wouldn't necessarily need to be a big betterment charge. Certainly the residents wouldn't have it at all, and then 47 Elm, if they had anything at all, would be much lower, which means if they don't develop, we're not out that money. I guess I look at worst case scenario in Plan A, we're at $1.7 million. Plan B.
Good morning, please will work with Jason at Not Media Center and then Permanent in Antwerp, and they got Not Often Girls Soccer.
So we'd be at 1.7 million if we met with Plan A. We didn't get a final number, but it sounded like it would be minimal if it was the Plan B. I wouldn't mind a more firm number on that, but I know the bid went out as Plan A, so I don't know that we're going to get a firm number on Plan B.
So my thought on the project was, when I voted on it, was that I felt that we need to start seriously considering what we're doing with our infrastructure. And if we have $3.5 million coming from the state to improve the infrastructure down that street, granted, we don't have a commitment from any developer to develop that land, but if we don't have sewer on that street, it's gonna make it even more difficult. And how long do we wanna look at that piece of property as it sits? So my thought was that if we could cap, and I think that somebody from the contractor said that they were willing to cap the betterment fees at a certain number for the
12,000 per EDU max.
12,000 per EDU for the residents, if that is written into the article, and if we could make it somehow more feasible for people to not have to tie into the sewer line that's put down that road until either they sell their property or their system fails. It'd probably be less expensive for them to tie in than it would be to try to improve their septic system if it did fail. So those were the things I was thinking about, and I think that we really need to start looking down the road past the financial crisis that we're in now and start thinking about our infrastructure more deeply. That's the reason I'm here.
All right, thanks for sharing that.
Just on Roger's question, if the town was paying the note for the 1.75, whatever that is, if we were paying the note for the 1.75 million until the developer came to reimburse us, it would be about $200,000 a year in interest payments to the town.
Can I take questions from the board first, and then I'll take questions from audience on Zoom. Go ahead, Beth.
Where did we come up with 1.7? I thought the remaining balance was $2.5 million.
It is, and 1.75 of that is being allotted to the Reed Barton property.
So the remaining 1.3, the remaining, what is it, yeah? What is it, 2.5 million, 1.7, so you got 800,000, who's covering the 800,000?
The rest of the properties along Elm Street.
Okay, so, I'm not gonna hash out the residence thing, I think that's been kicked around enough. I'm a developer, and I wanna take on that property. One, I got millions of dollars to spend to clean it up, because I don't, it's a waste site, so who knows? Now the town's coming to me and saying, well, you owe me too. If you take this on, not only are you gonna have to clean it up, but you're gonna have to come up with $1.7 million. And I don't know what you're doing with the back taxes, are you waiving all the back taxes?
That's something that have to be looked at.
Okay, so possibly back taxes, it may make it feasible, not feasible for somebody to develop. It may sit there forever, because now you're looking at, I don't know, pick a number to clean it up, $3, $4, $5 million, who knows? Now I owe 1.7 and back betterments, plus whatever happens with all the, I'm sure it's hundreds of thousands in property taxes, because it's been vacant so long, so. Are we making the situation worse by adding this on? I don't know. But again, that's 200,000 a year that's coming out of our budget, and everybody knows the budget. That means it's gonna have to come out of some department. So, where's it coming from? Who are we laying off? Yes, it's needed, yes, it needs to go, I got all that, but it's such a tight situation where you're saying, all right, next year, when the 200,000 comes due, where's it coming from? I think everybody needs to consider that.
Zach, can I ask a question? Would you, because from my perspective, I don't even understand why we're even considering the Plan A at this point and not just considering Plan B. I mean, to me, there doesn't seem to be any advantage. This is a primarily residential area. I appreciate that we want to get sewer to our commercial and industrial areas, but I don't see that we need it doesn't benefit the town to get sewer to residential areas. And this is just a little one commercial property within a sea of residents. So, for me, I don't understand why we're still arguing even about Plan A and not moving into Plan B and reworking the article so that it has a chance of passing. I think this board voted it down. I wanna say 2 of the people that we lost were probably yes votes. And even so, it hasn't changed, to your point, right? If we voted it down before, there's gonna be a lot of opposition at town meeting. There doesn't, to me, seem to be any advantage to keep talking about Plan A when there's another one that's not gonna cost the town nearly as much money, not gonna cost the residents any money, right? To me, that's a win-win all around.
What is the math on that, on Plan B?
So, he said between,
6.5 million.
What is the, let's get it simple. What is it to the town at the end of the day? Plan B, what is it to the town?
1 million.
$1 million. So instead of $1.7 million, it's $1 million to the town, is that correct?
I'm not sure that we ever got that number.
That was from the engineer at the selectmen.
Are they on I think they're on the call,
We had $3.5 million in grants, which I thought it sounded like the $3.5 million in grants would pay for the full sewer project if it was a dedicated line. And then the only other piece would be the water line that would be a water sewer enterprise cost which they have to decide how, but I can't imagine voting against any water improvements in this town. I mean, to me, that seems like,
No.
that's a no-brainer. I'm willing to, to pay that. The sewer piece should be under the $3.5 million that we have the grant for, is from what all the numbers I heard.
I just think we need that math.
I don't know if anyone online is able to answer that.
Ryan or Anna?
I can try and step in on this one right now. The estimate was for the dedicated force main pump station, it was 6 to 6.5 million. So with the $3.5 million grant, the 2.4 for the based on the water users, the remainder of that is what would have to be covered by 47 Elm Street.
So, yeah, 600,000.
600K, so.
And again, I don't know why we're paying 1.7 potentially, when we could pay 600. To take care of the issue we're trying to take care of, which is to get sewer to, to the 47 home. Hopefully make that property more appealing, as much as we
Less
can.
unappealing?
Less unappealing,
Yeah.
yeah. And again, not burdening the residents who don't seem to want, and it's only a benefit if they think it makes it better. And I haven't heard anybody say that they think it makes it better. So, I guess I don't see the disadvantage to that at all.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just like, I think my impression from the select board meeting the other day was that they couldn't vote on Plan B because we were too late in the process. So I guess they were kind of stuck in that sense, and we're hoping for, or we would hope for an amendment at
But
town meeting for
I
Plan
don't
B.
think that's true, is it, Mike? We can still amend up to,
On Thursday.
We could amend it on the town meeting floor. I think the feeling was to let it go to town meeting, let the town meeting members decide. And if at the town meeting they want to amend the article to just do Plan B, then an amendment could be submitted at the town meeting.
They couldn't have done that on Thursday.
they can
Madam
change
Chair,
the,
Mike,
they can change the
can't we-
language now.
Yeah, we haven't posted the warrant yet, so can't we change?
We
What's
could
in the
change it
warrant right
now, I
now?
think it's a
It
question
seems
of
like
want to.
the select board might not have been clear on that.
And
based on
And I have to say, anytime there's been an amendment on the floor, it's just been
A mess.
confusing and a mess,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I don't
I'm
understand
not-
what's going on,
not a
and
fan.
then I don't think anybody votes for anything at that point.
Well, we don't amend it here, it would have to be either the select board or the water and sewer commission to do the amendments, because they're presenting.
But it's not Wednesday to Friday, is that what it is, because Monday's a holiday, Friday?
Madam Chair, I have a question about the 3.5 million Mass Works grant. Is that grant written in a way that it's specific for the 47 Elm Street? Or could, like, to Roger's point, investing in infrastructure that might make more sense for our commercial and industrial, could we use that for water and sewer in places that would be less residential, that would be more appealing to businesses?
No, all the grants that we've received are due to that
Specific for
project.
that, okay. I just wanted to check.
And this expires at the end of the year. If it doesn't make this town meeting, if it fails, the grant's gone. You can reapply again, but again, the grant's gone.
Unless there's a special.
I think there was another one that we were talking about a special for. Yeah, all right.
Oh, that was.
I mean, I know I have questions from you guys,
Those
I have
for
questions from the
planning
board,
board.
board now, or can I go to the people on Zoom in here? All right, I think Mr. Banks, you had a question?
Yes, thank you. Just a clarification. At the prior finance committee meeting, there was a lot of debate over the residents' view, the Elm Street residents' view of the project. And I just want to clarify that not all residents are opposed. I, for one, had concerns about the cost, the betterment cost. And I do believe it was a reasonable accommodation to put the $12,000 cap. I will acknowledge that not everybody may view it the way I do. In my personal situation, I see the future value. The betterment is okay with me. I know you have a difficult decision to make, but I just want to lay out there that it's not a case that all the residents are opposed, and I just want to get that on the record.
I appreciate that, thank you. And then, Jim, did you want to?
Just two quick things. The math presented at the selectmen's meeting was close to 600,000. And he didn't have a final number, but it was 6.9 for Plan B, minus the 3.5, minus the 2.4 for the water, came out to $1 million. But $1,600,000 is certainly a lot less than 1.7. Just point of information to the question I had, and I don't think there's an answer, but I think it's an answer that maybe might be good to get before town meeting. I believe that back taxes and liens survive a bankruptcy. Is that true?
Say that again.
That back taxes and liens survive a bankruptcy. In other words, you can't file bankruptcy and stiff the town.
Right, I think it would be a negotiating point at some point.
Okay. But maybe a question for town council would be, let's say we do it, and I'm just saying we should ask the question, nothing more. But if we put this lien on during bankruptcy, do we still get to claim it? I just hate to see a developer come in, they're all set, they're ready to go, and we say, where's that 1.7 million? And he says, I don't have to pay you, have a nice day. Just, we should get an answer, that's
I
all.
will, but I think the bankruptcy's done.
That's what I mean, just
They're done.
to be sure.
Yep.
Other, questions, comments? Anyone on Zoom have a question? Okay.
Chair, I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 13 for the town meeting as presented in the warrant.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion second, Brandon?
No.
Gavin?
Nope.
Paul?
Yes.
Zach?
No.
Paula?
No.
Bonnie?
No.
Trace?
No.
Bill?
No,
Steve?
No.
And I am a no as well. Just for the record, I would be a yes for Plan B.
Say
Me too.
Nobody
So-
wants to, but yes.
Something happened between now and Thursday on Plan B.
What's that? 10-1.
Mike,
110.
did something happen between now and Thursday on Plan B?
Isn't it 110?
We'll check on that, yeah.
Yes, 110.
Justin, too many former chairs there. Muddying the water. Bill or
Okay, so we good on that? Moving on?
Chair.
Lake and Pond Management, what article are we now? 14. Yeah, 14. So, I don't know if all the new members know about the Lake and Pond Management, so, we started a few years ago, treating, some of the ponds in town, Winnicott, the reservoir, and Chartley Pond. And, they were really bad at the time, like Winnicott, if you drove by there in the summer and looked out over Bay Road on Winnicott, you might see a blue dot in the middle and the rest was just all green. So over the last several years, probably 6 or 7 years now, we've been treating the ponds, and we've been borrowing to do it. Right now, from the last borrowing, after the payments for this year, we'll have, about 200,000 remaining, and this would add another 150,000 for the first time, not borrowing, putting free cash in rather than paying interest on it. So this would get us another 2 or 3 years. Right now, we're, depending on the treatments that are needed, it's been about 120,000 a year to treat the ponds.
Any questions?
In the wording of the article, Madam Chair, it does state borrow as well, excluding that, or is it?
Yeah, in the motion, it would just use free cash.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Bill?
Mike, wasn't there some lengthy arguments last year or the year before on, why we're going out so many years? You know, something like this, why aren't we just doing it year to year?
I don't remember.
I recall some very robust discussions as why are we going out 3 years when, you know, so many other things we do year to year. And I know part of the explanation was, hey, you get a discount, but, you know, it should be almost reevaluated year to year. I also thought these costs were supposed to go down over time, and they don't seem to be.
Very little. I agree with you on that.
So to Bill's point, how much is it for 1 year of treatments?
It's
Did I
about,
miss that?
it's been averaging about 100 to 120,000 a year.
And my second question would be, why doesn't this fall under the conservation's budget, like the annual budget? Why would it be an article?
Because we always did it as a water bodies committee, not conservation.
Jim?
Okay.
To Bill's point, I think, Bill, the argument, at least that I made last time around, was why are we borrowing money for annual maintenance expenses, which are recurring expenses, we should have never borrowed money. I'm glad to see we're not borrowing money this time, as long as our vice chair strikes it from our, that language, we should never be borrowing money, and I'm glad to see that we're not this time, because this is maintenance expenses, we don't borrow money to plow snow, or, it should never be borrowed money for this type of thing, in my view. And that's the argument I remember, Bill.
Anyone else? Any other questions from anyone, the board on Zoom? Anyone?
So I'll make a motion that we approve Article 14 on free cash. As presented,
Is there an
for
amount?
free cash, not to borrow, free cash.
Is there an amount?
Yeah, 150,000.
Second.
All right, motion a second. Brandon?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Whatever you say.
I just don't like that it's a recurring expense and we're taking it from free cash. I just feel like it should be in the budget, but
Moving forward, that could be a good
like
recommendation
we
when we do
should
the
look at
workshop.
Start planning for that.
yeah, what else
The
is
spring?
And Bonnie? Yes. Trace?
Yes.
Bill?
No.
And Steve?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So, 10,
It's 9. Kevin's not here. That's what I was gonna say about the last one, it was 1 to 9.
what did I say before? 10?
1, 9, and then that one was 9, 1.
I only teach you math.
Yeah.
It's tough to be chair.
It is.
Or a Mansfield day.
Yeah.
Or a Mansfield.
All right, we'll go next.
The next on your agenda is the zoning bylaw amendment, the creation of the Great Woods Overlay District. But I think I'd recommend that you wait until Thursday night, because this is going back to the planning board, so tomorrow. So,
Everyone go with that?
Madam Chair?
Haven't.
I don't know if there's anybody here that came to speak on it, do we want to listen to them? Anybody have anything?
If you're willing.
That's up to the chair.
Sure. I mean, keeping in mind that we don't have a map still, right?
Well, this isn't speaking to the map.
Okay.
I don't even know there is a map. How's that?
Yeah, I don't think that the final area has been nailed down.
I guess what I was hoping to speak to, and I've got a copy for everyone. You already have one.
Twice, I think.
Okay, so
And
I've got another one if you want, but I don't want you to feel slighted.
But Jim, I'm gonna interrupt you, come back Thursday night if we're gonna bring this up again Thursday night.
Yeah.
This is a
Don't
different.
make plans.
Oh,
No, no, this is for the overlay district, yeah. It's the wording that we voted on last meeting, Madam Chair.
It's not
Due respect, Mr. Sillis, I will be in Maine on Thursday night.
Hey, huh?
Uh-oh.
And you don't have a phone service in Maine?
I'll be.
Oh, boy.
Get the Starlink ready.
I'll be covering the Norton football game Thursday against
I'm
Benfield.
gonna try to do my best to be both factually accurate, complete, and brief, which is nearly impossible. I do understand that planning and zoning is rightly described as planning and droning. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I don't know why it's mine, other than that's what I do for a living. I guess to start off with is to quote one planning board member at one of the earlier meetings that this is a bad deal for Norton. To quote another planning board member, Had the state not required us to do it, we wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. So that sets the stage. So my thought is, we should do what the state wants us to do, but do it in such a way that protects our hopes, dreams, aspirations, and investments as a priority. So, and I tried to put page numbers on this because someone said they didn't have page numbers the last time. And this was converted from a PDF document, and for whatever reason, page numbers wouldn't stick. I wrote them in by hand, ran it through the copy machine, they didn't come out, I threw away about that much paper, but I tried. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess it's the 5th page. The heart of it is 275.23.7, density bonuses. What this in effect does, what we're asked to, or required to adopt is Chapter 40A, Section 3A, which is the adjacent community MBTA zoning. This section here in effect changes it from 40A, 3A to what is known as 40R zoning, which is the zoning that was imposed upon communities that actually have MBTA service, like Mansfield, Attleboro. I guess they made the mistake of Milton, but it's a whole different thing than what the state's asking us to do. What this does is provides for mixed use, commercial on the bottom, residential up top, 5 stories in height. And if we're not required to have 5-story buildings in Norton, it seems to me that we shouldn't have 5-story buildings in Norton, you know, unless we're forced to. It is possible that we could be forced to, like right next to McDonald's is a 40B development. That on one side is 5 stories tall. Part of the methodology for this is to help protect us from 40Bs. But it seems wrong to me that what we use to protect us from 40Bs is to allow the worst that 40B could do to us. Because we have had 40B developments that were single-family homes. About the worst they could do was a 5-story building. So what we're saying is we want to protect ourselves from having 40Bs by allowing 5-story buildings. And that, to me, seems wrong. You might have a different opinion. I'm just offering mine. So if we start there, I'm striking, or proposing to strike, the density bonuses, which would keep us at three stories. So from there, we would go back 2 pages to the table of uses. And once we strike the density bonuses, we can strike the entire table of uses because it no longer applies. To a certain extent, there are other things on here that really, to me, make it confusing. Because the overlay district says you can have 15 units per acre of residential, but that's an overlay. Underneath it is a commercial district with all of its rules and regulations. And in here, they've got some commercial uses, some other uses, and I'm thinking, guys, what are you doing? It's bad enough to understand, okay, it's a commercial district, and also we can do this. So to change it from it's a commercial district, and also you can do this, and maybe some of this, maybe some of this, maybe one of those, and 2 of those. It gets to the point where who knows what you could do, except a developer. They read very well, which is why I asked the question about the reimbursement on the sewer. Then to go back to the first page, because I covered the bulk of it. The first thing I did in, let's say, humbly offer, was to rename it. Let's give it the name that actually describes what it is. Instead of the Great Woods Overlay District, let's call it the High Density Residential Overlay District. Then no matter where they make the map, no matter what they do with the map, it's an accurate description and it works. Going down to 23.1, it shows the purposes for this district. What I've offered is a change to, 1, rename it, and the purpose of this district, all those stricken out, is to meet the requirements of Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 3A. that tells everyone that's why we did it, that's what it does. It doesn't give any developer any promises. They can't come to the planning board and say, you said that this promotes this, and this. You can't deny us because you already said you wanted to promote it. It doesn't stop the planning board from approving something, but it takes away a little bit of leverage. At the bottom of the page, I have stricken out, it says affordable units may be, but are not required to be eligible for inclusion in the subsidized housing inventory. What that in short means, an affordable housing unit may be counted as part of our 10% to stop a 40B. This is saying it doesn't have to be included in the 10%. That was not my suggestion, it was someone else's, but the thought is, we may not be able to require them to include it, but we don't need to say it out loud. Because we want to hope if there are any affordable units built, that they are counted towards our total. Second page is quick, it's definitions, and I just crossed out the definitions that don't need to be there anymore. Third page, permitted uses, same thing, just crossed out the things that when you get rid of the density bonuses no longer apply. I lost track of pages. The table of dimensional standards, there's an, is that 5, Paul? Thank you. It's good that FinCom members can count. If you look, the minimum lot square size, what is proposed is 5,000 square feet. That to me is a giant red flag because there are other sections in the zoning code that require landscape buffers between commercial uses and residential uses. 5,000 square foot lot popped in the middle of a commercial district now imposes a hardship on all the neighbors around it. And it didn't make any sense to me if we're gonna put a residential use in a commercial district, if it's gonna cause a hardship to its commercial neighbors, it should be substantial. You know, it should be worth causing the hardship. So I proposed 90,000 square feet, which would mean it would be something of substance or it wouldn't be there. Jumping down, the minimum lot frontage was 75. 300 seems more appropriate with 90. Jumping to the bottom, the state's requiring that we allow for 15 units per acre. The proposal was 16. It really should be 15, I think. If, one, it's a bad deal for Norton, and two, we wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole if it wasn't required. And I think that's about it. There was some, as you go further on, most of it is just housekeeping. Once you get rid of the density bonuses, there's pieces that need to be straightened out. And, oh, and I thought a fairly important one, 175-23-9-10, says that in the interest of design flexibility and overall project quality, and upon a finding of consistency of such variation with the overall purpose and objectives of the Great Woods Overlay District, that waivers can be granted. We've had a recent project on Mansfield Avenue where a developer came in and they initially proposed 72 apartments across from myself and across from the produce barn, that triangle there. It's a village commercial district. I don't know how you can say 72 apartments and say village in the same sentence with a straight face. I don't know how you can say 72 apartments and commercial with a straight face. Yet, the planning board did find that it met all the requirements of village commercial. When they came to vote for the special permit, it failed, but still 4 members voted for it. I think we need to be careful because members come and go and things change, and I think we need to keep things so that what is planned to be in a certain zone is there and it's not merely a suggestion. I think it's dangerous to allow any town board basically carte blanche to say that the rules aren't rules anymore, they're just guidelines. So, I hope that was short, and I hope I covered all the bases, and I would encourage you at some point to reconsider this, your vote you took on the language. I'm gonna blame myself because I wasn't ready the last time. But I think the language is probably as important as the map.
Can I ask a question, Jen? Did you present this to the planning board? That these suggestions?
No, they're aware of it. I presented it to the Board of Selectmen. I don't know if that was a joint meeting, but they were there presenting at the same time.
Is the planning board looking at the language at all tomorrow, at their meeting?
My understanding is they have no intention of changing it. That's my understanding. So I had put this together as a dreaded amendment at the town meeting floor.
Have you sent this to them though?
To the planning board?
Yeah.
Not directly. I know they have it. I know some of the members have it.
So, Madam Chair, it's my understanding, Jim, that what you've done is you've taken their language and whittled it down to meet the state minimum requirements rather
Yes.
than doing any giveaways or.
Yes, and did so in a form that's acceptable as an amendment that hopefully isn't crazy confusing, but it is planning and zoning.
12 pages.
Any other comments, questions? So I think, as if everyone's okay, I mean, we can possibly revisit this on Thursday. I don't see a point of revisiting tonight and then revisiting it on Thursday. All right, so next is,
Madam Chair?
yes. Go ahead, Steve, sorry.
And I know, and I apologize, I won't be there Thursday, but is it possible to make sure that somebody from the planning board is there to have a conversation with these changes so we can all understand it? I mean, there's been a lot of work done here that I think there should be a conversation and a discussion so we can bring it down to a level. And I'm not a fan of changing articles on the town floor, especially planning board articles or bylaw changes. That really scares me. It's hard to write those things, never mind take the time and due diligence on it. But to make an amendment on the floor is tough, and you can miss things. I think there's been a lot of good work done here that we should hear from all parties involved before we make our final vote if we are going to take this under consideration.
Paul or Tim plan on?
I'm sure so.
Okay, yes. Steve, we'll make sure that we, invite them, make sure that they are aware that we have questions still.
Thank you.
So we can't actually even, unless they amend this themselves, if they plan to meeting tomorrow night, all we can do Thursday night is reconsider our vote and vote against it as presented, and leave it at that. This won't be in play unless they actually do an amendment themselves.
Does that sound right to everybody? Yeah? Go ahead, Zach.
Can we make a motion to reconsider this tonight? Not vote on, just to take it back to where it was and not vote until Thursday?
I'm fine with that.
So you're gonna reconsider it to,
Motion to,
So we don't have a vote anymore.
so we don't have a vote on it anymore. We voted for it the other night. We can make a motion to reconsider. This way it comes back up on Thursday night. We don't have to vote on it Thursday night.
Suspend
Can you reconsider and not vote?
It will,
Because there's gonna be a lot of people that are not gonna show up.
So you can move.
I guess I'm not sure what's the advantage, Zach.
I think that we're not gonna have a full board on Thursday night.
Okay, but they won't be able to vote
Oh,
on
okay.
the new thing
what do
then.
we call it?
Even if it's reconsidered,
What's-
if the
even
vote
if-
can't be taken, the vote can't be taken.
Right, I think maybe it's more important. I mean, if they're here to reconsider it, but not vote on the final vote, right? They may not want that. Does that make sense? I mean, if you entertain, I'll entertain a motion if someone wants to, and second, but I just don't see the.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Anybody see an advantage of reconsidering now?
My thought after seeing Jim's presentation is that I hope that the planning board might do the right thing tomorrow night. month, so I'm not sure if it's premature for us to do anything, because they may be bringing it back.
I think the planning board might disagree about what the right thing is.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Tim made it clear that one, they had spent
Yeah, that,
slash years, and two, that he felt, if I'm remembering correctly, most of you
Yeah.
were there, he was saying that writing it to the very letter of the law is dangerous, because then it gives the state some, it could, the state may reject it based on the fact that it doesn't, that it only meets it to the letter of the law, is how I understood him describing it. And also that their intention was for the purpose to encompass these things. Other people may disagree and may wanna make amendments to that or whatever, but to him, this is, what he was representing for the planning board was that this is what they wanted to present, what they felt was the best plan.
Part of
So,
our discussion last week too, Bonnie, was the fact that the planning board articles always seem to come up to the 11th hour and get voted on at the night
That
of
is
the town
true as
meeting and
well.
stuff, and that's part of the reason they never pass. I mean, very rarely, you know, it's.
It might just be, just wants to
Yeah.
get the vote out there and, let it be wherever it lands. All right, we good? All right, moving on to the annual election bylaw amendment, is that still on?
No.
it's something over.
That's being taken off? Alright, we have a personnel bylaws.
Under Article 3, it's amendments to the personnel bylaw. And one of the amendments is, right now, the position of the staff, actually to the select board, is just listed as office administrator. When we did our salary survey and talked to some of the other towns, trying to find out different titles, and the title is Executive Assistant Select Board Liaison and Licensing Coordinator. And then the second part of the amendment to the plan, we did a salary survey, and as part of the salary survey, they recommended that we amend our wage table so that we're competitive with the communities similar to our size. And in that, you see the current and the proposed. Everyone that's working now currently is in the wage. They're not, no one's above the top, so everyone's in with the current plan, except for one obvious thing that's out of whack is town clerk. And they've suggested that we raise the high end of the town clerk, and as I'm talking with people trying to get town clerks, nobody's coming here for less than $90,000 a year. And I'll tell people, well, we'll see after October 21st whether we can go above the 88. But as I said, so this doesn't result by adopting this plan, it doesn't result in any salary increases, because everybody is within the range, the current range. But this keeps us up to date for the future. And the way they did it, they looked at the 50th percentile of all the other communities, similar positions.
Any questions from the board?
who's your payroll benefits coordinator, administrator?
We don't have one.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Steve, go ahead.
Mike, one quick question on this.
Yep.
Do you compare, so, I know just speaking of the payroll benefit coordinator, right, the schools has one as well. Are those ranges, do they fit together? Meaning, are they in line with the school position versus the town position, or any of the other positions similar to that?
To be honest with you, Steve, I don't know what the position pays in the school department. I know when the company did the study, they didn't look at schools, they looked at town government and what people were making in those areas.
But shouldn't we try and align this into a town range, so we're in alignment, so, somebody doing the same job is compensated the same across the town, regardless if it's school or town? I think I remember a story where there was somebody that left the town side to the school side because they were paying higher wages for the same job, and I could be wrong there, but it seems like that's a disservice.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
would it, I mean, I don't know how many employees exactly the town employs and how many the school employs, but I would imagine it's like 5 or 6 times the number of people, so I would imagine how this position is paid is somewhat based on that. I don't know what other benefits and other things that may differ as well, but that's just one difference I would guess.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not sure, maybe Mike would know, but I think, I don't think we have any authorization of what the school pays. I think it's I think this school, report to the school committee, I don't think the town, has a say either way. I think they're totally independent, that's, based on Mass State law, I could be wrong, I'm not a lawyer, but no matter what we say, I think they can do whatever they want, it's up to the school committee.
And I don't have a problem with that. I think if we're gonna make salary ranges or salary bands, they should be somewhat similar, regardless of what area of the town. That's my only comment here. And we could do this for every position, say this one's bigger or bigger. My only thing is it should be somewhat similar for the whole town.
Other questions or comments?
Madam Chair, I just wanna understand this. So for all of these positions right now, you said except for town clerk, they're making the high end of the current column?
Well,
Is that the current?
I can tell you, like, office administrator is 73,000 right now, so they're not even at the top of
They're not at the top of the current.
right, and like highway superintendent he's at 106. So, I mean, this is really just future. The assistant town accountant is 75.
So this would come into play, because I'm just trying to think when we do budgets in the spring, and, obviously there's, percent increases for the payroll line items for each
Right.
department. And we can only afford
Right.
3% or something like that.
Right.
So this would be more, so if the current person in that position left, and then we'd have to go out and hire,
If we
and
had-
we would put these proposed salary ranges.
Because, I mean, that's kind of what's happening, when we had a planner that was ready to come here, and then of course the town where he was working, like, well, what are they paying you? Okay, we'll give you more.
Right, and right now, we're trying to hire a town clerk, we have an interim town clerk, is
We
that
do.
correct?
Yep.
And they're only staying for a certain period of time, is it
Through
already
the election.
disclosed? Oh, through the election, okay. And so right now, so we'd have to pass this at town meeting in order to even
Gets people to consider.
get someone to consider that position.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Mike, if somebody's at the top of the current scale, let's say, assistant at the town manager, 119,000. Let's say they were at the absolute top, does that mean they're not eligible for cost of living increases? So that means that's it, no matter if everybody else gets 2%, that's it.
Right. We'd have to go to town meeting and then decide.
Mike, do you think that increase really would make a difference in enticing someone to the town clerk?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it doesn't seem like a huge increase.
Yeah, but,
Um,
I mean, we're out of whack a little bit, but this would be good to raise it up.
And select board has not, we didn't discuss this yet, right? They didn't, right? What's that?
It's their article.
It's their article, but they haven't discussed it or voted on it, so could they change it, I guess is my point, right? And I prefer on this one to wait, because they might think that the numbers
Discuss on
are,
Thursday.
yeah. Is everyone okay with that? Alright, so what's next?
Separation expense.
I noticed that number went up.
article is that, Mike?
It's Article 2, right?
So the separation expense is $163,159, and it's broken out. The treasurer's office, 16,600, town clerk, 23,434, police department, 54,328, fire department, 52,000, and board of health, 16,797. It's been quite a year. So we had 2 people retire in the board of health, 1 person in the treasurer's office, 2 people, well, 1 retired and 1 left in the town clerk's office, and then police and fire retirements too.
Mike, which one was the increase that,
Do you need them enumerated out, Mike, or just the final number? You gave them out afterwards, right?
Usually the motion is $163,159, and the town manager who place the money in the appropriate.
what was the increase from the last time that you shared with us?
Town clerk. Who else was missing on the last one?
And Madam Chair,
Yes, Steve.
what does this represent, Mike? Are these unused sick time, or is this something different?
It represents unused sick leave that's accumulated, and also vacation. So the way we do the vacation, you have to earn your vacation, so you work, say, you work through June 30th, and say you have 4 weeks vacation. If you retire on July 5th, you get paid out for 4 weeks because you've earned those 4 weeks over the previous year. And then sick buyback is whatever's in the contracts for each of the various unions or in the wage and salary plan for non-union employees. Some of them are 30% of 150 days, some are 50% of 150 days. Like that.
Other questions?
This is from free cash, correct?
Correct.
Ready to vote? And select board did vote and approve this, correct?
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
make a motion that we approve Article 2, approve the money coming from free cash in the amount of $163,159. Distributed between the accountant and the town manager's consultation is what departments get it.
Second.
Alright, motion and a second. Brendan?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Trace?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Adam, yes.
Alright, next
Um, The budget supplements, can we hold off on
Yep.
that until Thursday? Is
Okay.
everyone okay with that? Did you want to speak on that?
No, I was just here if you had any questions.
Okay.
I'm just keeping Mike company.
You guys just like hanging out together.
You can show up to every meeting.
Does anyone have questions for the chief? Oh, he's here. Well, Mike, Thursday, are you gonna come back?
How's your day going?
Yeah.
Ask them something.
one. They're both back on Thursday, I'm sure. capital improvements funding, and as I said in the email, I recommend that we put 1.5 million into our capital improvement fund. Our current balance is $327,625. So with the 1.5 million, would be at $1,827,625. The capital committee is meeting tomorrow. Again, one of the members wasn't around for the last meeting, so they didn't want to vote. And hopefully, Alec is able to get on by Zoom. So, but the capital expenditures that I'd be recommending are $1,083,306. So that will leave us with a balance of $744,319 to go into next year. This year we're low with the $327 for our beginning balance.
Could you say the number one more time, Mike, of what you recommend spending?
$1,500,000.
No, that's putting in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
$1,083,306. And $1 million of that goes to the fire department, and 83,000 goes.
Just making sure you're still awake.
Madam Chair?
Yes, question.
What's the target on that? You said last year we were low, I think 300. What is ideal?
Ideal, you wanna, not ideal, but you'd like to be at least 500,000 in your capital, so that when you go to the next, whether it's May or fall, if there's something that fails, like in the schools, the 2 water heaters that failed. I mean, if we didn't have money available, I mean, that's an urgent need. So it's good to have some money in your capital. And this year they're getting to replace those 2 water heaters. There was no hot water for a while at the high school because they both unfortunately failed at the same time. They got one fixed, but they still have another one.
There's no rule of thumb there, like the free cash percentage of the
Not-
budget or anything?
No.
Gavin, when you get home, look up the Dubai Police Department. And you'll see they drive Lamborghinis. If you give unlimited, these guys will be driving Lamborghinis.
That'll happen. Norton's just like.
Yeah, just like Dubai,
Chased-
close.
Chased down the street, if that would have
So,
happened.
Mike, Madam Chair, to Mike, you got $2 million coming up for the schools. Should we be increasing what we put into the capital since we have excess free cash?
We have 2 million what?
You have $2 million coming up for school roof, correct?
Right.
So should we put a little more in free cash in, or leave free cash for that?
I would like to leave some in free cash, because.
The intent was to borrow that money.
Right. And there's a 56% reimbursement. Because we'd be down to about, and this is only, obviously depends what we fund in the budget supplements, but if it was all funded, and the 1.5 went into stabilization, 1 million in stabilization, 1.5 in capital, and 125,000 in OPEB, we'd be down to 2,000,001. I really was hoping we could carry that kind of money forward, and then maybe say 50% of it would be available for next year's budget.
And they don't have the estimates yet for the roof, they're just going up to bid now, I think.
Well, they don't know, they're hoping that the MSBA,
Cover 56%.
yeah, well, they have to get approved for the project. And the first phase is the schematic design, and we'll go from there.
So, Mike, if I understood correctly from the select board, they were one of these was looking at decreasing the amount. So is this something we should hold off on if they have that conversation?
I think all eyes are pointing at Mr. Marsan.
I don't teach you to show up to a meeting. So the question that was brought up was, should we take some of the money that we were considering putting into, I forget, of the 1.5, and putting some of that towards our debt, and try to lower our debt, as opposed to just putting it all into that account? That was the question that was brought up.
So do we wanna vote on this now, and we're gonna wait until select board votes and discuss together?
If we voted yes, and then they attempted interchange, and we have to vote again, then
Not necessarily.
no.
We're an independent agency, let's keep in mind
We
here.
don't have to vote.
We don't have to vote, we're supposed to be the checks and balances.
They could change the number on the article, correct? Because it's their article,
Oh, yeah, then we can vote it up
That's
or down,
fine.
yeah, so to recommend it or not.
correct?
So we haven't voted on it yet, it's not officially.
Right, and I guess that's my point, is they could change the number.
That's what I was bringing up, that, because if we voted yes, and they
We'll just wait till, I think it'll be a Thursday.
Thursday.
Madam Chair, I think there was also discussion, and Roger confirmed, put additional funds into stabilization. I thought I heard in that,
If we weren't gonna put it, if we weren't gonna pay down the debt, maybe put it in stabilization as opposed to into capital.
Mike, how does it work with paying down debt early in the municipality? Because if I buy a municipal bond from you, it's callable after so many years, you can't just say, I'm gonna take you out right now. How does that work?
There's certain debt that our financial advisor would have to look at. There's certain that we can pay off early, and then there's others that you can't. And one of the points of putting more money into capital is like, the highway department this year is looking to pay double on a payment to save on interest. And I know that when we buy vehicles, the police department, they pay cash for those vehicles. We don't borrow. So,
Mike, Mike, can you just, explain, and James just answered that, but, why we can't just invest what we wanna use for next year, to get interest, after money that we had getting interest, can you explain how that's different?
the money that we put.
Like basically that this has to get turned back to free cash, if we don't spend money,
Right.
we have to turn it back to free cash, we can't just invest it, and
Right.
the state doesn't let you do that.
No, it stays in unappropriated balance, and then at the, if nothing happens with it, next year when we do get our free cash certified, it gets recertified as free cash.
But you do get interest in whatever,
Right.
but it does gain interest,
Right.
whatever it's in.
It'll gain interest, but not, we can't go out
Interest.
like we can some of the other funds and be more aggressive if it has to be.
Madam Chair,
Yes, James?
the money that is set aside in the capital improvement funds, do earn interest, and the interest stays in the capital improvement funds. So that, if we have $500,000 in there, by the end of the year, we'll have, I don't know, let's call it $530,000 if we made $30,000 worth of interest. What you cannot do is have an article for a specific purpose, say to buy a vehicle for $50,000, and then have that particular separate purpose earn interest. I don't know if I'm
Yeah, I think,
just,
yeah.
but the actual capital improvement account, the capital improvement stabilization fund, is earning interest, and that is not going into free cash. That is staying within the capital improvement. The stabilization fund is also earning interest, and that's staying within the stabilization fund. The OPEB fund also earn interest. Those are separate accounts that get to keep the interest in the account.
Thanks, James.
I think that came up at Capitol the other night because the discussion was with Mike, I think, on the ambulance, on the ladder truck, if we appropriate $275,000, whatever it is for the ladder truck, and it's payment one of 10, and we keep doing that for 3 years, and the ladder truck finally comes in after 3 years, I think someone made the point, well, then the fire department would have that interest. Like, no, that interest stays in capital. The money doesn't leave capital just because we approve. It doesn't leave capital till it's spent, the bill comes in.
Something for that is appropriate.
Do we wanna hold off on? I forget where we were.
Article
Improvements, fund transfer, yeah.
Second is
Yeah.
the funding,
Okay.
8 is the amendment.
Okay, so we're gonna hold off on that, on both of those, right, because we don't have capital's recommendations anyway for spending.
All right. Article 19 is OPEB. The recommendation is that we use 125,000 of free cash, so this would be 5,000 above what we put in last year, and that's sticking with our program, we'll increase to 5,000 a year, with our goal to get to 200,000 a year. For the new members, OPEB, I don't know if we talked about it before, it's other post-employment benefits. So it's for retiree health insurance and the cost of that. And it just started maybe like a decade ago that the actuarials, it became a requirement that you set up an OPEB fund. And then they're like, okay, yeah, but you gotta put money into the OPEB fund. And it comes up really when you go out to borrow, they wanna know if you have an OPEB fund. And in our last financial policy, we set up a goal to get to 200,000 a year in the OPEB. And right now, Bristol County Pension System, we pay like $3 million a year, say, to Bristol County for the pension system because it's not fully funded. And so we're paying this premium, and our goal is that, and they're supposed to be fully funded in 2034. So that if we get to this 200,000 and keep putting 200,000 in, once that Bristol County's fully funded and our payment drops from 3 million down to what, say, 500,000 a year, we'd have that extra money to start funding our OPEB. And do you wanna know what our liability is?
Yeah, I was gonna say, probably not.
Jake, you wanna tell them? I'll tell them.
It's like the national deficit, just telephone numbers.
$95,797,676. But
budget and shop and sell.
it's
Mike's getting a Bugatti when he retires.
It's kind of a I mean, it's like if a company went bankrupt and there was no one around to pay for the health insurance for the retirees. I mean, we fund it every year in the budget, but hopefully we're not gonna shut down and disappear as a town at some point.
Quadrant two.
If someone buys this out, they'll owe $95 million.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Yeah. Any questions on that?
Make a motion that we recommend 125,000 for free cash for OPEB, being filed for Warrior 18.
Sorry. Right, I'm trying to make it to the end of the meeting.
Yeah, okay. All right, motion is
I
second.
hope you enjoy your meeting room, and now you don't have to float between the studio, the library, and somebody's house. So enjoy, just as long as you move the furniture any way you want. Have a good
Thank you,
night. See you Thursday.
All right,
Thursday you get to get the big one though, right?
that's true.
Parking lot.
All right, I have a motion, a second, right? Any further discussion? Okay, Brandon?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Shout out to our former member who always wanted to vote against it, but
Yes. Trace?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And did Steve come back? So he had to step away for a moment. All right, I too am a yes, so that's 9.
And Article 19 is stabilization, and my recommendation is that we put $1 million into the stabilization fund. So if we put $1 million into the stabilization fund, our stabilization fund will finally be at our 5%, a little bit more than our 5%, so that next year we could put less in. We could be at a point where if the budget goes up, then we agree that we're gonna put more money in stabilization to stay at our 5%. It won't be as big of a hit every year.
Any questions on that? Is that connected to, in terms of the select board vote, is that connected to their capital improvements funding? Right, and I'm wondering if that could change too.
That'll be a quick vote.
Vote or chair? Vote or wait till Thursday?
I say we leave it at that.
If they haven't voted on it yet, I would say just put a vote on it.
That's all.
All right. Where are we at with minutes?
Such a beautiful smile.
Can I ask a question before we adjourn on the OPEB then? What was the reasoning for voting against that in the past?
He would vote against increasing it, I think was what it was, like, we kept increasing it every year, and he felt like, we're never gonna meet it, so.
He was just mad that we had to do it.
But the bonding agencies look at that, that's one of the things, just like the stabilization, they want
Yeah,
that
right,
5%, so they wanna see you have a plan in place in case you went bankrupt.
So he would argue we should make the contribution, but whatever the year was 7 years ago, whatever, he would say, we shouldn't increase it, we should just keep making, you know, that, whatever minimum we were at then, or that amount that we were at then.
No, Paul was trying to get it to 0.
May he rest in
He
peace.
tried it every year.
That's why I had to give him a shout.
You're a history teacher, professor.
Just make a comment on stabilization.
Yeah.
For me, I know everybody's, we talk about get to 5% so we can meet our bonding, blah, blah, blah. For me, I don't look at it that way. I think, it should be an emergency reserve account. And if we'd adequately funded it year in and year out, we wouldn't have been in the situation that we were last year. Been able to just transfer some money. If we had a healthy 5%, I don't know how anybody runs their finances, but
That's the
I wouldn't sleep at night knowing I had a 5% reserve in my checking account.
Yeah.
God forbid you got sick or something happened. So I would like to see that, it's great, 5% should be the floor, not the ceiling. Because you're gonna have these years where a recession comes, something happens, and then you're laying off your teachers, and then you're going through what we went through last year.
And I think it is a recommended floor.
Yeah,
Really.
so, yeah, I mean, we're looking at it, we're hearing it, the way it's coming off, like, well, this is, whew, we got 5%, we're good now.
Yeah.
That should be the minimum. It would be nice to have a nice, healthy stabilization. So you have a bad year, we don't have the revenue, something happens, you're in recession. Hey, we need $2 million, move $2 million. It's not the crisis that we saw this spring.
Well, it's a good use of free cash.
Yeah, I mean, if this year we have an extra $1 million in free cash, perhaps it should be 1.5 million in stabilization. Perhaps it should, I threw the number 2 million in stabilization. So we can talk about that more Thursday, but it should be the floor, not the ceiling, because just past history.
All right, anyone have anything else?
Are we just gonna talk about Thursday and making sure we have quorum?
Yes, I counted them all, the texts I sent out, and I think we were good, yeah. And then anybody changed their mind from what they told me? I don't remember who it was, but we had quorum at the time.
Why the technology works, Zach?
And school committee was invited, I believe they also will be part of the joint
meeting as well.
7 o'clock.
Super fun, Kyle.
7 o'clock.
All set up as an excuse right now.
Well, I got a new technology from Zach.
You'll be blaming me.
Zach got me a new hotspot.
You'll be blaming me.
Well, they can't, but,
There you
If that don't work, we'll go with the Starlink.
that's it. Madam Chair,
All right, yes.
motion to adjourn.
All right, so motion and second. All right, Brandon?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Well, hold on, you
What's up with
Zach?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
Trace?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Steve and Jeff?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
I am a yes as well. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you Thursday. Whew.